Welcome back, One Piece enthusiasts, for another wonderful week of One Piece coverage. And this week, I got challenged to take my Doflamingo deck to tournament by my brother. He said blue is very, very hard and he's having a lot of difficulty winning games with it. So I decided, hey, you just suck. And I went and took it to tournament. It was a 6-round tournament, 36 players. I ended up 3-3, top 10, but not top 8, which is not what I really wanted for the deck. The deck performed very, very well. It was more of a me issue. I felt like I made a lot of mistakes. Sometimes I just saw myself, I played Perona, and instead of, I put the order exactly how I wanted it, but instead of putting it to the top for whatever reason, I would put it to the bottom. Just subtle mistakes like that, misordering things, attaching an incorrect amount of dawns, not playing around specific cards. It was overall just a very sloppy day for me, and I wasn't very happy with my performance. But through mistakes, we do push forward. So with that being said, we are going to showcase this week 2 of my Flamingo games. One where I think both of these that I'm going to showcase I played very, very well, and then one other spicy little for funsy game that I had on the side. This one is versus Kazuki Oden, which is one of my friends. Great player, fantastic DBS champion, Chad Jonathan. He's playing Kazuki Oden. Now, this is more of a fun but also competitive deck. If we're talking about a giga competitive green deck, we know that no one beats Eustace Captain Kidd and his bullcrap, you know, with his those swing. But Oden, after playing him after this game, I was very intrigued about what Oden can do. At the end of the day, a lot of mono green decks are going to start looking the same. Your top end is going to be the 8-drop Kid. You're going to probably play the 7-drop Kid. You probably will play the 5-drop Law, and then you'll play in-between value cards, aka Okikus, Cat Vipers, Momonosuke, Jewelry Bonnies, Veggies, things like that kind of just fill up the space. What's cool about Kazuki Oden is that when you drop the 8-drop Kid, usually you're very stuck on Dawn, right? You go, usually you can't drop him on 8 on curve because he requires 1 Dawn. So unless like the board state is really, really weird. But let's say you wanted to do the full play, right? So you're at 9, you go 8-drop Kid, suspend, summon blocker, attach 1 Dawn to the Kid. Now you're out of Dawn. Kazuki Oden, though, says you can pitch a Wano card to restand 2 Dawn. So after you do that entire play, you pitch a card that usually has no combo power, aka bonus Okikus, bonus of the Denjidi, I think is his name, the 5-drop, and you will get 2 Dawn back, and then you can use that for defense to activate your Paradise Waterfalls, your Punk Gibsons, or just to play more cards if you want to play a Bonnie and another blocker if you want it on top of that. So it gives you a lot of extension slash value, which I wasn't really expecting. And when I did the tier list, I wasn't expecting Oden to just surprise me this much. Oden do be Odening, so we'll be going second. My opponent does a fast pass, and I do open the Perona. The Flamingo deck seems to really need to open any of the excavators. So we need to open Perona, Don Quixote do Flamingo, or Desert Spada. One of these 3 cards, because we need to start stacking the deck as much as possible, which is a good and bad thing. Because Flamingo's effect is just so unbelievably strong that we need to start facilitating it as fast as humanly possible. He goes and slams the Izo, and then Oden's into my Perona. I'm not really sure about this play, but tempo is tempo. As we did stack the top of the deck, we did expect us to go ahead and just use it. Even though we're not playing the Mihawk into a turn that I might really like, unfortunately, I have to go and commit to this because since Peruna stacked my top of my deck, if I don't do this now, I'm going to have to wait an entire other turn before I can do it once again. So I have to commit to the Mihawk. He goes and swings into it. I over combo, but it's just fine. I make sure that this Mihawk lives. My reasoning for this Mihawk living more than anything is because I'm pretty sure Peruna showed me the top of my deck and I was not happy. So I went ahead and stacked it in a way that I would draw the best amount of 2Ks, and then I would just go ahead, draw them out, and then I'm going to reset the top of my deck by playing another Perona. So Mihawk allows me to draw 2 with 1 Dawn when attacking, and I'm going to go ahead and pitch 2. Unfortunately, I do pitch a bunch of 2Ks. This list is the same list I showed in my deck profile, which is 12 2Ks, which I really, really liked. It's super defensive, but there are some points where I have to decide which 2Ks to drop, and it feels a little unfortunate, to say the least. So I go ahead and swing here with the Flamingo. There is something to be said that I could have Perona'd and waited on the Flamingo swing. Didn't have to swing so early. Maybe it would have changed my opinion on this play, but I was already committed to the Sobbles in hand, bouncing that 5-drop. If you don't know what that 5-drop does, Denjidi with 1 Dawn attached. He is a 5-drop 7K no counter Wano card. When attacking 1 Dawn, you can, if your leader is Kazuki Oden, restand 2 Dawn. Another extension card, and 7 on a 5 is enormous. Huge. So he goes ahead and tries to clear my Mihawk. I defend it as much as possible because I do need some sort of board state as he drops down the Denjidi. Now, I know I have a Flamingo in my hand, and my plan is to just Flamingo this guy so that he can never drop the kid on me. And I just have these 7 drops that are staring at him. And if he ever decides or dares to play the kid on me, I will be able to consume it. So I'll go ahead and deal with the Ezo. I won't draw because the top of my deck has been stacked in a way that I have expected it to. So I'll go ahead and allow him to kill my Mihawk finally, but I do Flamingo him, and I do plan on Flamingoing him again. What is cool about going on evens is that since now I'm at 8, I'm going to 10, and at 10 Dawn, Flamingo can use his hero power plus Flamingo. You use a 7 and a 3, you use the full Dawn to get that full maximum tempo, which is exactly what I do here. So I'm going to go ahead and swing. I did expect something to come down, so I did stack a Teach. Teach is going to get one of the best values that he's ever gotten in his life, and he balances the Okiku. Go ahead and swing the Flamingo, put my opponent down to 0, and then I just say, eat this. Flamingo him again. So yes, I did play, I feel like I played this very, very well, but let's talk about it. At the end of the day, my deck plays 3 Flamingos and 2 Mihawks, and Mihawk is substantially worse than my Flamingo deck because Mihawk wouldn't allow me to go Mihawk plus hero power. So theoretically, I've had like the nuts, which sometimes that's what you need to beat green. And now here comes the scary, scary turn, which is we'll drop the A-drop kid. He'll go ahead and rest it to summon a killer. So we have a weenie blocker. He goes ahead and pitches that Denjiri to go ahead and gain 2 Dawn. Puts a Dawn under the Eustace. Puts a Dawn under the killer. The Dawn under the killer doesn't make sense. So we're talking about it. This is the locals, but we're also friends and teammates in a way. So he goes ahead and drops the Bonnie. Playtest friends? Playtest mates? I don't know. So I have to go ahead and try to commit into killing this. He goes and tries to block it. And I say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let me activate my effect, buddy, because I knew this was coming. So it does feel cool. I'm Flamingo. I'm puppeteering. I've seen the plays, and it still feels like I can't win, man. Like, goddamn. I have like a crystal ball this entire game on my opponent. Like, I'm like literally 3 turns ahead of him, and I'm still almost losing. Blue. And if I make one mistake, I will just lose, by the way. Just casually. It's just that's how it felt like with blue. It feels like your mistakes are so punishing. With green, you can make a mistake, and I was making mistakes left and right. I'm not playing the game at 100% at this point in time just yet. And even when I make the mistakes, I'm like, I'm playing green. Who cares? My deck will just carry me. When I'm playing red, same thing. I made a mistake. Yeah, you're dead anyways. Blue, you make a mistake, and the game just gets away from you. So here's you're gonna see a turn where why the A drop is so unbelievably unbalanced, right? Because he just goes and uses his Bonnie effect, adds another Bonnie, plays the Bonnie, adds and he's just adding cards to hand. He's cycling these 1Ks into cards that are protect the A drop, gain tempo, or combo power, while this A drop simply just deletes my board. It's so frustrating. So frustrating, but what can you do? So we have to deal with it until Bandai says otherwise. So he goes ahead and he's still deciding on what to do here. Yeah, he goes ahead and decides I must kill this Flamingo. He can't let 7Ks live in my deck. My deck doesn't have anything really much bigger than a 7K unless I Mihawk him, and there's no way I'm Mihawking into this board. It just doesn't make any sense. So he goes ahead and tries to attach 4 Dawn into the Oden after he uses Oden's effect. And I do have to combo this because if I do lose this Flamingo, I just lose the game on the spot because I can no longer beat this kid. His hand is a 5-hander with, to my knowledge, 3K combo power. 1 Dawn up, 5K combo power. So I have to be 5K. I have to be 13. For me to do that as Flamingo, I have to attach 6. Right? So he already has 13. So I'm like, well, let me attach 6. And I'm like, no, I can't just be greedy. I have to commit to killing this kid. If I do not do that, I will just lose the game. So I think to myself, what is the optimal number here? And it's very difficult to tell. I wish I could just do a section about, let's count the math. Let's just do the math. So he's presenting 5 that we're aware of, and then he still has 2 cards on top of it. The statistical probability of him having another 2K is very, very high. So instead of dropping 6, I go ahead and I say, well, I'm going to go ahead and drop 9. So that would mean that you would have to have 2 more 2Ks and then to beat me. And I put him on a 2K and a 1K as his final cards. So again, in those scenarios, I'm able to just clear up his whole board. Thank the Lord. Breathing room. But the worst part is, he didn't really use any hand there. He is at 0 life, so at any point in time, he just is unable to defend me. I do win the game. But I could have tried to go for game there, push cards out of his hand by swinging at face, but by swinging at face, I do leave these cards on board that are just going to outvalue me and lets him to get to his combo. So he goes back into the kid. He cannot afford to pitch a Wano card here, so he doesn't do it to reset his effect. I go ahead and defend my board. I do the same thing. I am not letting this kid live. There's no way. I go to try to lethal him, and then I have 2 cards in hand right here. I can either develop the Perona or I can put a card on their Teach to make him pitch another card. And I decide, you know what? I'm going to use the Perona for defense. I just need a couple more turns in order to win this game. And he is just unable to defend it at this point in time. And so the game just, it just ends. Even if he defends it, the cards in his hand just won't let him deal with my board, and he'll just die over the course of 1 or 2 turns. So he decides to scoop because we are playing best of 3. God, it's so tilting to play best of 3 into purple, let me tell you. So it was fun to play best of 3. We were trying it out at our local shop, but 6 rounds of best of 3, 36 players is frustrating when 4 of the rounds is purple and they're just Onigashima every single game, dude. And it's not even just Onigashima. They're Onigashi. Oh, they're doing the Oni Island into the King, into the 10 drop. Like, these guys are degenerates. But it is what it is. So we're going now into game 2, and then we'll see if I'm able to just absolutely keep tempo. He makes me go first here. He wants the card on the draw, and he wants to put me on odds. What was cool that game, by putting me on evens, I was on a better amount of cards, as my deck is very heavy on the 4s. The unfortunate part is my deck is also good on odds. I Perona on 1, I Flamingo on 2, and we're off to the races. That was my draw. I just didn't draw for turn. So I go ahead and summon the Mihawk here. Swing for 7. That's a very aggressive play. Sometimes it's very difficult. Flamingo can't play passively, which is weird, right? Like, any other deck can just choose not to attack. Flamingo, to get his effect, kind of just can't not attack. I'm not sure if I enjoy. So he's going to go ahead and swing 6k at it, play the Okiku. I'm now at 5 Dawn here. I probably should have tried to defend this Mihawk, but not really sure it was worth it at this point in time. I know I have the Gecko Moria in hand to, like, just re-add it, and I kind of want Gecko Moria targets, but then I'm pretty sure I stacked the Gecko Moria at this point, so I'm just trying to get, like, a double dip of value. It's bizarre. I opt not to use the Flamingo, as I opt instead to deploy the Teach to go ahead and remove this Okiku. I think Okiku is just on sight. That card is so broken. Just eats my board, and then they can just start, now that my board is gone, they can just outvalue me with the Momonosuke's as well as the Veggies. He goes and swings at my board. He plays Kinemon. Have you guys read that guy? That guy slaps. So Kinemon, what he does, wow, my hand got really in there. So Kinemon, what he does is that he just summons a 3 cost or lower Wano card from your hand without paying its cost. And then when you put a Dawn under it and he attacks, you restand a Wano card with cost 3 or less, aka Okiku. Although Okiku is once per turn, the fact that you can attach a ton of Dawn to Okiku and then just swing, suspend, swing, restand, swing, it's like, oh man, that's a lot of pressure. So I went ahead and calculated again. I knew that my Gecko Moria would be here, so I go ahead and I make the Gecko Moria turn. I use my Dawn effectively here. Now I'm at a total of 7 Dawns. So I go 3-3. I keep one up for Desert Spada or like Bluffing Spada at this point in time. But I feel like my board is pretty solid. Yeah, I thought it was. Let's see. I didn't understand. I didn't know what Kinemon did. I read it, but I definitely didn't remember what he did. And I didn't really ask. I thought all he did was play the Okiku. I was unaware that he also had another continuous effect. My goodness. So we're just going to see him dismantle my board here. He's going to go ahead and swing into my Moria by tapping my blocker. He is threatening 6k. I could defend this, but it's just... And he swings at it with the 6k. I'm like, you know what? Fine. Make you use the 6k. The issue is I was not expecting that restand. Yeah, so I wanted him to commit more cards, but by restanding here, now he clears my blocker. Okiku can just stay unsuspended or unrested, and by doing so, it's honestly even more pressure. So I think he opts and notes that, and there's no point not to Momonosuke at this point in time. He has just, the whole board is his. There's not much that I can do to contest it, and why not just get a little bit more value? Even if you want, no matter what you do here, you can even then, at this point in time, activate Oden's effect, pitch that card, restand 2, and then, like, how am I even supposed to get close to winning? He has, like, an 8-card hand at this point in time. Disgusting. So I'm going now into my 9 turn. I go Perona. He does let the Momonosuke die, which is a little bizarre. But it is what it is. I go ahead and I Jinbei this Okiku away. But I do know he has another one in hand. Pain and suffering, guys. Pain and suffering. It feels like the whole time I'm like trying to keep the things together, and then all of a sudden it just runs away with me with green. It's so crazy. I still have an active 5 Dawn. I do want to use my Dawn effectively, but I don't really know how to here, right? So I don't want to overcommit Dawn into swinging into this Kinemon, because to be fair, the Veggie can just block it, but obviously with an 8-card hand, you can just defend it. So I'm going to go Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and 6 this Kinemon again, trying not to overdon my opponent. There's just no reason for him not to at this point. He's just going to keep defending. He does over combo, but it is what it is. He's going to now go into his, I believe, is his 10 turn. So we're in for some pain. He's going to go ahead and Oden into my Blackbeard. I am at a 4-hander at this point in time. Very difficult for me to defend. He's just going to eat my board up. I'm going to go ahead and A-drop Kid here. You're just going to see some really interesting combination of effects at this point in time. So Kid's going to go ahead and rest himself. He's going to swing, trigger Denji's effect to restand 2 Dawn. So broken. With those 2 Dawn, then he can just attach them right to his Kid and to his killer. And now what the hell do I do? Actually, what do I do? He has a 6, a 7, an 8 on the board. Even though I'm at 5 life, and he's at 2, I believe, at this point in time, there's no universe where I can push through something like this. He does have 5 cards in his hand. What I do have going for me is the fact that he doesn't have a value generator in terms of like a Momonosuke or a Bonnie at this point in time. Thank God. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna bounce the 5-drop. That card is just too well statted, and I'm gonna make sure that he has to pay for it. Now he drops the Bonnie, and that's, I believe, the nail in the coffin. Very difficult for me to come back at this point in time. He effectively has 12 Dawn because of Oden. If he had Denji on board, he had 14 Dawn to work with. It is actually just so much. So he's deciding what to do here. Kinemon doesn't really need the 1 Dawn. He's already threatening with the 6k stat line. Doesn't need value to really push through many of the cards. So decides to swing 5. I need to start just grabbing some cards. He swings. I get a 2k. Immediately pitch the 2k. I need to make him work for it. That Bonclay is never getting summoned anyways. So all my cards are unrested, so there's no way he can deal with them. He goes in 9k's my face. I do have to eat that. That is just way too much damage. I do have a Sobbles in hand, and I have a Gecko Moria. So like my brain is telling me I need to do Gecko Moria for a Teach, and then do a Teach Sobbles, and then push turn. But that is just like... That's so cope. Like, that's so cope. There's no way that ever works, right? I'm in my 10-drop turn here, and really, what am I thinking of doing? I think I just drew a Virgo. I think I need to set up a Virgo. Like, I need 2 7s to even attempt to contest the Kid. But I am kind of just dead on board as well, so it's really a catch-22. And that's the thing with green and blue, man. If you're not the aggressor and the one in control of the driver's seat, and green is allowed just a little bit of wiggle room, you will get outvalued. Just too much. So there is something to be said about decks that don't have to hit face, right? Like, there is something to be said about just not hitting green ever, outvaluing them in the board, and then beating them after you've beaten them the value slowly. Like a very slow attrition-based game. There is something to be said about that. Unfortunately, Flamingo cannot play that game. As you see here, I'm like foregoing so many attacks. Look at my board. And this is the kind of board I need to create in order to have the opportunity to maybe, hopefully, potentially one day push through this Captain Kid. And this isn't me complaining. This is just showing how oppressive that card is. So he's going to go ahead and this is a lot of Dawn. Going to 8 swing at me with this Raizo. But then, yeah, Raizo is a 3-drop Wano Country card. Guess what happens? Restand. That's a pretty cool interaction. This whole deck is just pretty cool. Really caught me off guard, Jonathan. Great job. And he's going to go ahead and swing. I go ahead and combo out of this. He's going to 5 me. I just combo out of it. He attaches 1 to killer, and he effectively has 2 blockers at this point in time. Oh boy, oh boy. So I have to figure out how I push through this, and it's not easy. I do have the Sobbles in hand, which kind of helps, but 4 Dawn for a Sobbles is just not the value that we need. And even if we did, like, let's say we are able to clear this Kid, right? He still has this insane board, and he has 6 cards in hand. Not really sure how I push through it, so... Yeah, again, I'm trying not to overcommit here as much as possible. Yeah. And then how do I possibly clear it now? Let's see. It's just cope. It's just coping left, right, and center, man. It's just me trying to live in order to get another turn that if I can push through that kid on this turn, he doesn't have blockers, then instead of killing his board, I just try to push for game, and then maybe I sneak in a win like that. If he forgets to put a Dawn under the kid, God bless if he would, maybe I can cheese a game win like that, but that's what we're hoping here for. Unfortunately, though, I just don't have the hand size at this point to kind of deal with it, and I can't just use my law blocker willy-nilly, as he would just kill me. So now that he's committed his second attack, I can use this blocker, but he just didn't put enough for me to care, like for me to really mind it too much. I should have just triggered the Desert Spada here. I didn't think of triggering it. I wanted to kind of keep it for later, but like there is no later. The time is now, old man. So he goes ahead and Kinemons. He just, all these cards that just don't have combo power, he just ships them onto the board and then summons 2 more blockers, and then that should be basically the end of it. It's gonna be very difficult to push through the blockers one more time while also trying to win the game here. So I'm gonna go ahead and Perona, see if Perona can get me to a teach. Yeah, the probability of that happening isn't very great. I think I've already teached them twice this game, so there are 2 teaches left in my deck, and looking at the top 5, there's a chance, but there also isn't a chance. So I'm just here thinking of my grave, you know, fanning it out, trying to think of like what my possible outs are. I could, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and 3 trigger, kill this off. Like I basically paid for Dawn in order to get this law back, which, yeah, he's just going to go ahead and pay a 1k here. Or actually just blocks it instead. I only have available just a bit more Dawn, 6 more Dawn. I'm going to go ahead and 8 him. I just need to just keep doing 888. I'm going to go ahead and use the Bond Clay here. The rest of my top of my deck is terrible, so I go ahead and grab a Spada. I do have another Spada in hand, so yeah, Bond Clay is going to have to go as I forego him, and I need just these big boys. But once again, this Okiku with Kinemon interaction is just absolutely going to clobber me off the back of this Cat Viper too. Okiku's at 10. That's pretty cool. So check this out. Okiku's going to go ahead and swing face while resting my Law. Swinging for 10. I could combo out of this, but the Kinemon's just going to go ahead and threaten it and then restand it, and then I'm just going to die. So it's a very long, these are very long games, by the way. Very, very long games. And the amount of pressure that we're able to like accumulate with blue, like we're not just rolling over to green, mind you. We're not rolling over. We're putting up a fight, but it really is an uphill battle. I did see a deck list that instead of going for Virgo, it went for Crocodile. And Crocodile is a very interesting card because it allows us to be a little bit more aggressive, as it has the banish mechanic, while also potentially keeping a Dawn under him for Desert Spadas and Level Up Beams. So I do like that possible idea, and he is combo power as well. Issue: more big boys in the deck, which is gonna make other matchups just terrible. So I'm not really sure how to fix a solution without the fact that there's like with the fact that there's no sideboard at this point in time. It just makes it really difficult to create a deck that does everything, especially in the mono blue sector. So I do open a Law, swing with 5. I go Quixote here. Quixote allows me to finally stack my deck. So instead of opening Perona, I opened the Flamingo blocker, which is very, very good for me. I wish I can see what cards I top deck so you can see my ordering. So he's going to go ahead and Cat Viper. I am going to defend this Flamingo. Again, my deck has a bajillion 2Ks, so there's no reason not to at this point in time. The Bonnie's just going to stay standing until he is able to amass a board, and then he's going to go into the value train. Been here, done that, buddy. But what can we do? So I do set it up. So I'm going to go here and teach the Bonnie. I do want to make sure that if he, like, there's no point in me teaching the Veggie. If he wants to block, like, who cares? If he's going to take it, also, who cares? This is my point in time. Like, I am giving him a bonus draw by doing this, which is not great. I'm gaining tempo, but he's gaining value. And here we go with the value. We go Kinemon, get 6 drop, 6k, summon a free 5k that's going to destroy my board. Awesome. And it's like, what do we do from here that potentially doesn't lose us the game? And it's like we almost have to have like Flamingo here on curve to bounce the Okiku, and then like also try to apply pressure. It's really, really tough. So unfortunately we did stack the top of our deck, so we kind of have to commit. But maybe, so my thought process was, I know that my top of my deck what it is, but I need to get another teach. I need to teach him again So I go and try to dig 2 cards deeper to see if I do hit the Teach, and unfortunately I don't. But I do see a Mihawk, which is very helpful in this matchup, and I am going to 9 next turn. Maybe we Mihawkin. We're just Mihawk gamers. And then maybe we try to apply some pressure here. That's my thought process. Just try to get some pressure in. I'll go ahead and I'll put the Mihawk as my draw for this turn. I'll go ahead and Gecko Moria. Gecko Moria is unfortunately not going to draw me any cards here because I didn't do an early block. Had I done an early block, it would have been pretty nice. But we do know that we're setting up for just more and more turns. So I'll go ahead and again, I'm going to use my entire hand to keep board here and try to win the game. Yeah. Such is life. I'm going to go ahead and block. He's going to go ahead and try to swing. I'm going to go ahead and block. Cav Viper going to 4 me. Yeah, I'll block that. And then he's going to 5 me here. And I'm going to block that again. And then he's going to Denjiri. And I'm going to... there is a potential. Yeah, so we clear. We try to clear. I still have my Flamingo available if he tries. That's why I'm swinging my board here. Because I leave cards up. Now looking at it, like from this game state, definitely try to swing with your leader first, right? If he doesn't defend it, if I swing with leader, he has to defend it so that he commits to my Gecko Moria turn sideways. If I swing my Gecko Moria, he doesn't have to commit anything. Learning. So we're at all these things. Now I'm swinging at face. I do just need to keep up the pressure. I need to somehow kill him someday, right? And then I'm just going to 9 him right here. I'm going to go 9 this Denjiri. And see, now my board is looking pretty good. I have a blocker, I have a 4, 5, a 9, and my hero. We got things. We got things and things, you know? But unfortunately, you know what we don't have? No hand. So he's gonna double Bonnie me here. And here's where the pain really starts coming. So Bonnie will add Bonnie. Bonnie will add a killer. And he's used 4 Dawn in order to do that. He's going to go ahead and tap to make Raizo. He can go ahead and use Oden's effect, which he will, to gain 2 more Dawn, to then probably play another Bonnie, to then play the killer, to then gun to my head, and then, yeah. You get the gist of it. Green is just green. So I do have to play off of this top deck. I know exactly what's going on, so I'm going to go ahead and swing here, and here's where I make a crucial mistake, and we're talking about it. It's just so troll. Absolutely so troll. So he's going to go ahead and Paradise Waterfall to protect the Kinemon. If I clear. I should have Flamingoed before I swung with my leader Flamingo. And I noticed it there as I'm tapping the table. And I'm like, we're talking about it, we're laughing. And it's like, well, whatever. It is what it is. Should have committed to play this first so I can know what's at the top of my deck. Because I could have potentially gotten another card on the top. But which would have just probably been a Mihawk that I theoretically just can't defend. So even though, yes, order lol. Yeah, pain and suffering, huh? This Mihawk only has one way to go. He's only going in one direction. Yeah, for the rest of the game, there's only one direction that things are going in. And I'm trying to think of here, and I'm like leaning back as I'm like thinking about how can I possibly close this game. And it's just like, if I don't hit him, then like he doesn't get those cards. But like, I definitely, looking at his back, I should have just gone on the aggressive here. There's only one shot I win this game. He has no blockers on the board. I have to top deck something that bounces a blocker and then potentially just push through it with my Mihawk. So I should have definitely committed to him taking damage with both my leader and Mihawk that turn. But yeah, hindsight is 2020, man. Hindsight is for sure 2020. So he's just gonna just draw a card, search a card, draw a card, draw for turn, restand, draw a card, and you're just like, he's actually pushing through 6 cards like in this turn. It just is what it is. So he's like talking about how he probably just should have restood it with Kinemon, used Oden's effect. And leaving 3 up just indicates that he has Omega defenses. I'm going to go ahead and I'm pretty sure I drew Love Beam, drew a card from my security at this point in my life. And my hand is starting to replenish. So I do swing. I didn't respect the Punk Gibson. I respected more the Paradise Waterfall. I was expecting him to waterfall me here. But I hadn't seen a Punk Gibson until this point in time, so I just eat it here really, really hard. I do finally get to see the Perona, and I'm just... My deck, I have just drawn the good cards in my deck, and now I'm going to see the bad cards in my deck. And there's certainly not going to be enough to push to this game, unfortunately. So he's going to just now Bonnie me. Bonnie's going to finally see his kid, and here's where the nightmare commences. Going to Raizo me, draw another card. I defend. Like, look at all this active Dawn I have. It's just... I'm not happy with this gameplay whatsoever. He's going to go ahead and Kinemon, Raizo. I love Beam, draw another card. And I know the card I'm stacking is Love Beam, and I do just want to cycle some more. I will love to draw just to get into some more cards. Defending as much as humanly possible. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm thinking about bottom decking this because I just need to see other cards at this point in time. He's going to go ahead and play the Killer. And just look at his grip. His grip is like... Yo. You know, he has like 10-ish cards in hand. Didn't even drop Kid that turn. He doesn't need to. He has just such an overwhelming presence that I just... There's too much that I might have to push through here. And again, this is just... I should have just gone on the aggressive. Dumping Doflamingo here feels terrible, knowing that he has Kid in hand, meaning that I will most likely... It's just mistake after mistake here at this point in time. I'm just fumbling over and over and over again. As I most certainly have to play the Flamingos, because if he has the Kid, I lose the long game. I'm choosing to play the long game because I'm swinging at his board as opposed to his face. So in doing so, I basically am just saying I lose in both scenarios because I've committed to dropping cards out of my hand that win me the long game, and I have decided also to play the long game. So it's just... It is just unfortunate. You know, I did play game 1 really well. I feel like I've done a lot of... I feel like I played really well for a good 70% of the game, and then now I'm just fumbling the end game over and over and over again, and it's just... It's disheartening. But more than that, it just shows that there is... It's not just clearly that blue loses to green. It's just, to play blue, you need to have a lot of... words. You need to have a lot of discipline. You need to play the game very clean. If you... Blue has great matchups. I feel like its purple matchup is very good. Its blue matchup is very... I mean, blue. Its red matchup is very good. The mirror matchup, the better blue player should most probably win it. So if you are disciplined with blue, and you can just play clean for 7-8 rounds... Or, you know, I just didn't have the practice of blue. I think this is the second day I'd ever played blue, and I think before this I had played 3 matches maximum. But again, just I decided, you know, because of my knowledge of the game, I know that I know exactly what the deck wants to do. I built the deck in a way that I know what I want, and you know, I theory crafted enough that I was like, yeah, I can probably top with this. And unfortunately, I was close, but just no cigar. I just lost my final match due to circumstances that were a little out of my control. But it happens. But it did show me that even though I did not top, that there is depth to blue, and I have definitely not mastered it, and it's definitely something I might want to revisit. But the thing is also that you have to consider yourself, and now I'm not commentating much on the game because at this point in time it's just going to be literally me acting as a punching bag so that Oden gets to look and gain that spotlight. So I just want to highlight this turn right here. I go ahead and defend it as much as possible just to prove that to my opponent that he can make mistakes. He did not put a Dawn under the Kid here, so there is a universe where I win the game. If had I just been a little bit more aggressive on the prior turns, if he was at 0 life, I win here. But you know, obviously he made a mistake, and we were talking about it. I swung with the Mihawk, and he's like, "Oh my god, you can swing!" He just forgot the Dawn. He tried to commit all the Dawn to kill me, and because of my 2K and just the amount of combo this deck has, I was able to bait it and almost come back for the win. I go ahead and I give him the fist bump of friendship as I scoop it up here. But that is the game. What I did want to finish off by saying is that Blue's a great deck. I played it terribly throughout this tournament. Maybe not terribly, but I didn't play it to its utmost potential, and I feel like there is something to be learned from here. Maybe my list isn't optimal, but it felt very good. I know that the mistakes, and that's the best part actually, I'd rather lose to myself than my deck. When you lose to yourself, you know, it's like, I can improve. My deck can't improve unless I change the list. But the list felt fine. It was me that was making the mistake. So that's one thing that was good. Second thing, even though blue has great matchups, why run yourself the risk of running 7-round tournament, racking your brain, you squeezing all the neurons, when you can just play an easier deck that has possibly another fantastic win rate and just do better, potentially, by just thinking less, being less stressed. That is something that we need to factor when it comes to long tournaments, long events. If you're planning on playing on these big treasure cups and things like that, I don't think there'll be a good amount of blue just because of that factor. It's like how purple was in Digimon. Why try so hard with a deck that, yes, it is good, but I have to really put in the work, put in the calories to like really make it, you know, juiced to the extreme. So that's where I'm at right now. I do like the deck. Really enjoyed playing in a tournament, and definitely was a fantastic and humbling experience. Finally lose some games of One Piece. But I hope you guys learned something from this commentary. I will be uploading another Flamingo match this week. I hope to see you guys there. And as always, let's find the One Piece. That was kind of cringe. Goodbye.